Classic FM.
The Guest List with Anne-Marie Minhall.
And thank you for downloading. On the guest list this week, the author who sold 60 million books worldwide. Terry Pratchett talks about 25 years of Discworld.
It's Lord of the Rings 500 years later. In other words, you have something like a classic fantasy universe. It has wizards and witches and elves and dwarves and trolls. Okay, let's hold on to that picture and then let's fast forward. Isn't anything going to develop? Isn't the process of civilization going to spread?
And reality television and classical music? Classic FM meets one of the finalists from Classical Star who's won herself a record deal, bassoonist Karen Gagan.
I just went in for it for a bit of a laugh. I didn't have anything to do, I was a bit bored. I thought, this looks like something different to do, I'll just go for it. And yeah, I was shocked to get so far.
Plus, the guest list takes a look at Edward Norton as the latest big-screen Incredible Hulk and things that go bump in the night, why a new collection of ghost stories from around the country shouldn't be missed.
Only the A-list are on the guest list.
On Classic FM.
6 months ago, the best-selling author Terry Pratchett revealed that he's suffering from a rare form of early Alzheimer's. Since then, he's talked many times in public about the disease and given more than £500,000 to research. You'll hear shortly why he believes there are worse situations for people to be in. It is a quarter of a century this year since Terry Pratchett's series of books, Discworld, first appeared. After spending many years as a journalist and working on books in his spare time, Terry Pratchett turned to writing full-time 4 years after the appearance of the first Discworld novel, The Colour of Magic. To date, there are now 36 in the series, selling millions worldwide. Discworld is a world that travels through space on the backs of 4 elephants who themselves stand on the back of a turtle. And at his home in Wiltshire, Terry Pratchett talked to the guest list about 25 years of the unique universe.
It's Lord of the Rings 500 years later. Now, this is inaccurate in every major respect, but nevertheless, when it's all put together, it should help. In other words, you have something like a classic fantasy universe. It has wizards and witches and dragons and elves and dwarves and trolls. Okay, let's hold on to that picture and then let's fast forward. Isn't anything going to develop? Aren't the cities going to rise? Isn't the process of civilization going to spread? In Ankh-Morpork, the big cosmopolitan city, the major city on Discworld, your bread might be delivered by a troll. So what? The trolls tend to live in their areas and the dwarves in theirs, they tend to live in cellars. But the kids are growing up, and now you have gangs in which trolls and dwarves of one stripe, as it were, will fight the trolls and dwarves whose turf is on the other side of the town. The old enmities are disappearing and new enmities are developing. And indeed, ordinary people are making their accommodations in the world, and they're all of them acting like people, not as stage heroes and villains. First of all, it makes it funny because we can recognise our own preoccupations in theirs. For example, everybody knows that all dwarves have beards and all dwarves look exactly like dwarves, including the female dwarves. In fact, dwarves in Discworld have no feminine pronoun. And all dwarves are happy with this until the female dwarves, who know they're female, notice that human women are clearly differentiated from men and appear to have quite a lot of fun with this fact. So in one of the books, or in several of the books, there's always the spectre of dwarfish female liberation, which from a human point of view is going in the wrong direction. And so they're feeling their way into some kind of new mental environment. And that's actually fun, because we do that, we human beings do lots of silly things like that, and dwarves are only another type of human being.
Your readers, it seems to me, always very keen to give feedback, and you were one of the first, I suppose, to use the internet to interact with fans and to talk about books. Is that still the case now?
Less so than it used to be. As soon as you got a usable internet, I think I was in there. I still make use of it now, of course. who doesn't? I'm kind of ashamed to say that I have an extremely good reference library, and yet if I'm typing away and need to check something, I check it on the net. I suppose the saving grace is that all the books I've got here I've read. So if I think, how did the Yantan Tetherer go? You know, the shepherd's counting rhyme? Many similarities and some differences as you go across the country, and of course I'm almost certain it's died out now amongst everyone but folklorists. I've got books here which have got all different versions in, but am I going to stop in the middle of, halfway through a paragraph to go and look for the book? Well, it would be delightful to go and do that, but because I know what I'm looking for, I will find it on the net. And so it does actually, regrettably, become the research instrument of choice.
What sort of reaction did you get after being in this position where you had to talk about...
You're slowing down, aren't you? You're going to talk about Alzheimer's, aren't you?
I am, yes. Yeah. I just wondered what sort of reaction you'd had from readers.
Everyone started to tiptoe around, which was exactly what I didn't want, which is why I started to shout about things. I mean, it's a disease... I'm quite fortunate in the variant I've got, at least, initially. The end game is probably going to be the same, but if we take a long view, the end game for all of us is pretty much going to be the same. And I'm getting on with things, and a lot of my time lately has been... I've sat on more sofas on chat shows than as an author I would have sat on this year, but... I've been happy to do that, and I'm pleased to see that Alzheimer's is always in the news these days. And while I don't think that anything I do is going to end up, as it were, changing my fate, I hope it will change the fate of other people. I must have had it for at least 2 years, and yet I've seen the early reports of Nation, which is the children's book that's about to come out, and this is from readers in America. And they are absolutely raving about it. And I think it is written by a bloke with Alzheimer's. And kind of the lights flick on and off. So I'll be typing away and I can't spell the word could. And I sort of get past that. And then I type the word transubstantiation. And it's and sometimes I wonder how much of that is Alzheimer's and how much of that is being past 60. Because we, the baby boomers, always use the we don't want to die codes, like we talk about senior moments. Everybody loses their car keys, and I often forget people's names. And what people are really saying is, please God, don't let me get old. I don't want to be an old person. I think I've got past that one, because in my family you lose your hair in your 20s, so you get kind of past the whole looking old bit. In terms of actually narrative plotting and thinking through character, situation and dialogue, I'm probably better now than I ever was. It's really about physical things, and even that is not so bad. I was driving a car for 2 years in this state, which is why I was driving a car very carefully, but I don't drive a car anymore, because that would be fairly dumb, because you don't want to miss someone on a zebra crossing. But it's still a fairly ideal situation, because I can write, and I can sure as hell afford to get people to drive me where I want to go. There are worse situations for people to be in. My father always used to say, you have to be philosophical about things, and what he meant was stoical. Where it's possible to change them, you change them, and where it's impossible to change them, you go and try to change them, as a matter of fact. Yes, I think my dad was wrong on that one. You keep trying, because the very act of keeping on trying, of engaging with the world, I think, in some kind of way, gets you marks.
Terry Pratchett, and his new book, Nation, will be published here in the autumn.